Welcome to Tech Topics brought to you by Cybervenger. We help keep small businesses stay protected and compliant with cutting-edge cybersecurity and IT solutions.
Hello everyone and welcome. My name is Andy. I'm the managing consultant for Cybervenger. Today we're going to talk about one of my favorite open source tools, Keepass. Keepass is a great tool. It's a great project. It's been around for 20 years. It's an open source product, which means you can see the source code underneath it, which is great because it helps to root out any security concerns about what that code is doing. And when dealing with a password manager, you definitely want secure code. A lot of software that's free, I always warn people, can have other things going on under the hood than they say they are. I tend to avoid free software, particularly if it's not a well-known project, if it's not open source. If it's not open source, they can put anything on your computer, including malware. That's like the common way to get malware is download some free software. Generally, if it's cute and it's free, you got a little cat screensaver, I don't know, that makes me nervous as heck. But this particular product has been around a long time. It's run a ton of awards, and we use it all the time. It's open source, so I feel it's a very good product. I feel comfortable recommending it. We use it all the time for our customers. Now, what it does is it simply allows you to store passwords. It's a little bit like a Word document, a word processor in a Word document, right? You got a file you open, you can put all the data in, you close it, you save it, you can name it whatever you want, you can have a bunch of different files. The difference, of course, being is it's designed specifically to store passwords and username and other credential information, and that the file is encrypted with a single password, and it's encrypted in AES-256. Actually, there's another option for Cha-Cha, whatever version, but they're both very good, very secure encryption, and most of them will pass most compliance standards. So it's good to use if you're trying to store your passwords for compliance, for NIST 800-171 or some other compliance standard. So without further ado, let me bring you to the website. Look down here. So this is the website. Make sure you're using keepass.info. It's spelled a little funky. It's K-E-E instead of K-E-Y like one might expect. It's using a .info, not a .com. And all you do is just use the latest news right here. It's got the latest version. You just click on it, download it, and run the installer. Now, I'm going to try to keep this video short, so I'll skip the installer, but it's a next kind of thing. You click next a couple times and it's in. There's not a lot of options to have to worry about. There's some customization if you felt like it, but if you're just trying to play with it, just go through until you hit finish. I will now launch that program. Keepass. There it is. Now, speaking of Word and Excel, I know a lot of people. Oh yeah, here's the last one I had, my home. For my home stuff. I'm going to cancel that. It always asks you the password for the last file you opened. We're going to create a brand new one here. Just like you would if you had Excel and you're trying to open a new spreadsheet, right? And speaking of Excel, why wouldn't you want to use Excel? We'll create one called database. You wouldn't want to use Excel because even though you can password protect, it doesn't have the same kind of encryption. Earlier versions I know were breakable. I don't know, to be honest, with how secure 365 would be today. It may be reasonably secure, but it's not designed to be encrypted and used like that, so I personally wouldn't trust it. Plus, it lacks a lot of the cool features that I'm about to show you with Keepass. The other problem, too, of course, is you always have Keepass because it's free. It's open source license. You could download a fresh copy. You may not have Excel available to you on every machine. Perhaps you don't have a license. Perhaps you get a chance to install it. In a disaster recovery scenario, you're rebuilding all your machines from scratch. Keepass is a very lightweight, non-invasive product you can slap on there real quick and count on being able to get a hold of, regardless of your status of your licenses. And then you can get to your passwords and start rebuilding things. So we'll make up a master password. This could be anything. I'm going to call it password 1. Password 1. I'm making it that password because this is probably, I don't know, like the worst password I can think of. I would never use this. And since this is a video, sure, somebody out there is going to be staring at everything I do, trying to, break in our stuff with whatever information I'm giving away. And it'll tell you this, password quality. This is a terrible password, 8 bits. We can do, okay, how about password, I don't know, let's say 2023. Let's say it's a little better, but it's still bad. Password show expert options. Look at that. So we could change other stuff. I generally don't get into all of this. I don't synchronize it. There are other advanced features that Keepass that I'm not going to cover in today's video. This is a video short, so I don't want to get too carried away here. But basically, just put the master password in. So password 2023. We'll do that. When you're creating a file, it's going to need a database name. Well, this is, say, customer 759. Make it up. You can use description. Under security, You can change the encryption type. AES-256 I usually use. It's default. It works very well. You can use gzip encryption to make it a little smaller, and that actually might sound more important than it might sound. Now you're thinking passwords aren't that big, but spoiler, you can actually attach additional files to this file, so that's a good thing. Your recycling bin, I'll show you that feature. I usually turn it off. I don't like it, but I'll turn it on just to be able to show it to you. In advance, you got some other stuff you can play with. Again, for brevity's sake, I'm going to skip that. I don't usually worry about that. So it's asking if you want an emergency. All this does is it print out a form that says Keepass on it that you can type your master password on or handwrite it so you can throw in a safe. So I don't bother printing that. We just skip that. So here we are. Here is our sample file. This is what that looks like. Now, you notice there's a lot of stuff in here that shows up by default. You don't need any of this. You can, if you want, and I usually do, just go through and delete groups. Delete all the stuff. Get rid of all the stuff. Here's a sample entry. But it's also nice to use as a sample if you've never used it before. I like to be able to break things up into, here's my Windows passwords. Here's my network and my file, passwords. Here's passwords for the internet and whatever. You can break it up in different groups, and that's nice. Now, if you notice here, under recycling bin, I deleted general. It's still in recycle bin. I can bring it back, and we're going to do that just to show you. Right click and, well, just drag it. There we go. Now it's back, and so here we are. Now, if you notice, I'm clicking at the top here, and you've got password entries directly here. You could do that, and then you also have password entries underneath each subfolder. I can add, so we can create a subfolder under that and create a whole tree. You can edit it, and you can change, what the icon looks like. You can put notes on it, all kinds of other options. Again, this is less interesting stuff, so I'm going to breeze through that. But here you would, out on the right-hand side, you would right-click and add an entry. And this is the title that you see. So let's say my 365. Oops. My 365 account, and we'll say Andy at cybervenger.com. Now, if I wanted to create a password, this is one of the features I like, and I don't want it to get broken into, I can use something stupid like password 1, right? That gets broken into, or I can click down here on this little icon here, and I can have it generate a password. There's a custom password generator where you can use one of the predefined ones here. 10 characters, and here's the range of characters. A hex key, 40-bit, 128-bit, random MAC address, whatever you want to use, whatever fits that. You can derive from previous passwords. I don't like that. We'll just go ahead and do that. And if we look at our 3 dots here, we can see the password actually is. I like that password. It's pretty good. It's a little short, but it's really complex. So I think it works out just fine. Or you can actually modify these templates. You can do other templates and stuff for what kind of password you want. So if you have a password standard in your company policy, you can add that here to your Keepass, and then it'll be able to generate them based on that. Now, URL, I think this is a big one. So it's great for internet sites, but it's also not a bad idea to do things like I tend to do AD : and then I know that this is my Active Directory. Oh, what's my Active Directory name? Oh, my domain.ad. And that way, if I'm typing a user in, I would know what the actual domain is. I mean, this is a 365 account, so that isn't relevant here, but I just thought it's a good way, a good practice. Or if it's FTP, I would put FTP. Oops, I hit OK, didn't I? That's okay. If I want to edit it, I can right-click on and edit entry anytime I want. But if this was an FTP account, I might put FTP. Or maybe, since this does happen to be HTTP account, HTTPS, OW, and we want portal.office.com. I can put other notes. Now, here's another cool thing. This is one of my favorite features on the Advanced tab. This is an advanced option I use all the time that I think is worth in my short video here. Extra string fields for those security questions we all get. You can put your security question here, type whatever you want, and then put the value in here. That way, you have all the security questions here. So it's in one spot. Or if you just want to take a screenshot of your security questions when you're done, like you're filling out a web form, you can attach a file. Or you can attach any kind of file in here. You could, if you were, let's say you're creating I'll just go ahead and hit OK this one. Is there anything else I want to show here? Yeah, not really. This will show histories, different versions if you modify it. But okay, so this is what we want in here. Now I have my 365 account. I can edit it. I can option it. But that URL, maximize this, that URL here, if you right-click on it, we can simply open it in whatever heck we want it to. So here's, do that in Edge. And then if I got somebody hovering over my shoulder, I can double-click on my password here. See what the 3 dots are. And then if you look at this timer, you have this long to paste that password before it's cleared out of memory. That's important. You can increase this if you wanted to. That's a setting you could change. Yeah, it was cleared in 20 seconds, but let's hurry up and do Andy@Avenger.com. This doesn't exist. I don't know if it's going to let me. Yeah, it doesn't. But anyway, yeah, see, my timer ran out. I can't paste the name. I was going to show you pasting the name. But if I go back to this, double click again, my little green thing down in the right-hand corner shows back up. And I can, in fact, pass that goofy looking password. I know, I'm being silly here because you can't log in that way. But I'm just showing you that we can paste our password. I don't have a real 365 account that I want to show on camera for everybody. No, I don't have a test one right now. But you get the idea. You can log in that way. You can log in to AD. You can log in to FTP accounts. You can log any kind of password that you have, you can put in here. Now, let's say on my network, let's say I have a Fortinet firewall, or let's say, or a switch. Let's say I've got a Cisco switch. Cisco, I don't know, I like Aruba's. Aruba 3810. I got Aruba 3810, and my username's manager. And let's say this actually, we can use the default one they threw in there, or we can make up a new one. Or we can, whatever we want to do. And on my switches, let's say it's at 192.168.1.12. Oh, how do I control this particular switch? Oh, this one I do SSH for. There. Now I know, that's how I get to it. Let's say this is my core switch, which is really cool here. So you can put notes in. I can take a screenshot. I can attach, maybe I can put an old config in here from the original build, or maybe every quarter when I update it, put new firmware up, I throw the config on it beforehand. So we always have a current config in here, or a history of configs. So multiple configs. So you could do documentation that way. It's a great documentation platform for that reason, not just necessarily passwords. And again, now the thing with the URL, because I typed SSH in here, that's more for me. It's a convention that I use. You may not want to use it that way because you can't open, like if I had to go to Firefox, it's gonna barf because it's not gonna hold SSH. I mean, it's gonna try it and it doesn't. Oh, that's right, I do have it. So it'll respect the tag you put in there, and if you happen to have an application that recognizes SSH, it'll launch it. But it's got to be something your browser recognizes. In this case, it did happen to work out. It doesn't always. There's nothing that special. This is, after all, just a string. But you can put a string that you want in here, and if you send it to a URL, it'll try and launch that string against the browser. Like I said, I showed you with the AD example, it wouldn't launch Active Directory. It's not that smart. But it's nice to let the person know who finds your credential and where you actually put that credential. There's so many times that I have websites that I try to log into, like a vendor portal or something, and I don't remember how the heck I get to the management portal. So you put that URL in there exactly, and that's really, I think, important when you're using this tool to be able to find where you're supposed to put these credentials. It's a great piece of information to throw in there to make the tool more effective when you use it. Just the way I use the tool. But that's really pretty much most of what I want to show off. I mean, here's your password generator. Oh, no, that's not. I do have one more thing. Synchronizing. This is cool. This is really, really cool. So if you have several people who are working on a password file, and you can do synchronize with file, you can open up your shares, and you can open up whatever you want to do and find the file, and then you can synchronize changes. So if let's say I go through here and I change the password to dumb password. Again, of course, I wouldn't do that in real life, but right. And then someone else was working on it, and they went over here to the 365 account, and they change it to blah, or just whatever. They have to change it to that. So if they changed it to that, and they changed this password, and we changed that password. If we both went to synchronize with file, and then we synchronize with our open file, what would happen is both files would be able to write at the same time, and both changes would be written at the same time without overwriting each other. Synchronize options. So it's designed so that multiple people using this program could do so at the same time and work on the same file and not fight with each other, which I thought was just the coolest thing. I think it's one of the greatest features on this. So you can have a network, store the files up on a network, and you can have lots of people using them, and then you can all use them at the same time, and just instead of hitting file and save, just use synchronize, and that will work just fine. And that's really all I got. That's Keepass in a nutshell. There are more options you can play with. Like there's ways to synchronize with Active Directory and other things and get real fancy, but I didn't want into too far into this. This is already a 15-minute video, so these are supposed to be one of our quick video series. But I hope that gets you pointing in the direction, get you start playing with it, and that's all we got for today. Let us know in the comments what you think about the product and what we think about this kind of video. We'd love to tailor our stuff to what our audience likes, and I'll see you next time.
Thanks for watching. We hope this video has provided valuable information to you. Be sure to share this video with other small business owners to spread the word about the importance of cybersecurity. As always, don't forget to like and subscribe for more videos like this. If you want more information about cybersecurity, visit us at www.cybervenger.com.